Hello and welcome to this video on Azure DevOps and working with requirements. The reason why I made this video is to give you a bit more practical knowledge on how does a day of a consultant look like, or how would you really start off when you start off as a functional consultant for Dynamics. In our previous video, we talked in theory about different roles and what is Azure DevOps and how we work with Agile. But in this video, we're going to focus more on the practical part. I will pretend to be a functional consultant and I will start my day. So my day would be like I would open, let's say, Azure DevOps, and here you'll have different projects. I know which project I'm going to be a part of or I'm a part of. So I will just click here and then I will go to boards and then I will go to sprints. And when I go to sprints, I know that the thing that I'm seeing right now is the thing that I need to see. So basically the requirements I need to work on with. It might be that some of the requirements are already picked up or claimed by someone else and they're working on it. But if not, then you can start working with this one. And the way of working it is you start off with the top. So from the top, I see that this is a requirement. I'm going to claim it. The requirement says a customer service agent should be able to specify a case if the type is claim and specify the claim amount. So for this, we already know that I'm going to go back to Dynamics. We already know that on a case, we have a field called subject. And what this says is that I should be able to specify here that there is a sort of claim option to select and classify this case into a case, but also specify what the claim amount is. Just to reiterate, this is not an actual business requirement, but I'm just making up some requirements to give you a little bit of context of when you work in a project, these are the things that you will be seeing, and this is how you would be seeing them. So, okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up this requirement. So as a functional consultant, I said, okay, I'm going to claim it. I'm going to say Ska-doosh. And first I need to create a new subject. So that is what I will do. I know where to create it from. So if I go to the service management, I have a list of all the subjects here. And then here I have option to add a subject. And I can say claim, visibility yes, and save and close. This is also very special control subject. I'm not getting into this because it's not that important that we need to get into. But it required only creating a record, which I did already. So it should appear for my test. But I'm just going to quickly verify that. I go back to service. And if I want to create a case now, I can select a subject called claim. And so this is complete. It was as simple as it could be, and these are the requirements that you normally get. So it's not a rocket science, and it's quite a flexible tool, and it allows you to do a lot of things easily. And our next requirement is to create a field called claim amount, because it's an amount and it refers to a currency. That's why we'll be creating a currency field, because at this moment, I know that, and probably this is a check you should do when you approach a requirement like this, that a field with the same name, intention, and the functional meaning does not already exist. Otherwise, that's not considered a good practice. You should always, before creating a field, check if there is something similar for that field already available from Microsoft or someone else created previously. But okay, I noticed that there is no field called claim amount yet, so I'm going to pick this task up and I'm going to go to make.powerapps.com, which you're familiar with already. I will go on the solutions. I need to make sure the environment is correct. And then in the solution, I click on Dynamics Customer Service. This is a solution that I am using to show all the videos, but also all the customizations I'm doing while I'm making these videos. So I need to create a claim amount field. Claim amount field, yeah. And this needs to be created on a case because it says so. So therefore, I'm going to go to the case table and I'm going to look on columns. And this time I'm going to create a new field. And this is also our connect to see a new column type, which is called currency. Whenever you have pricing related requirements, you always use the currency field. So I'm going to use currency. Behavior is simple, no calculated, no roll-ups. Required is optional because sometimes you will have claim related cases, sometimes you will not. So I'm just going to say this is not mandatory. So especially keep it open for the parts where you create cases where a claim amount is not applicable, then it can be blank. Then we save. Sometimes things are not going to be as exactly as you would expect it to be. So in this case, I did create a claim field, and that's the end of it. But that's not really, because you did create a claim field, but the claim field also needs to be visible. It needs to be added to the form, because you just created a new column or a new field for case. But until you add that on the form, it is not going to appear. And where you need to add this, sometimes you need to take a call yourself, or sometimes you can just ask the product owner, okay, where should we add the field? Where does should it appear? Yeah. So let's say we want to put it below product, so we'll just do that. Our our column has been created, and don't be surprised if you're seeing this for the first time. When you create a currency field, a base currency field also is created at the same time, but you just need to ignore it. Don't worry about it. I barely think you would ever use this in your career as a dynamics consultant. Okay, so like I mentioned, I've added the field, and now we just need to add the field on the form. And this is our form that we use. I will click open it, and you see that our amount field is available to be added to the form. So let the form load, and then we will add this to the form, and then it should be okay. Then it takes a bit of a time. Yes, I think it's loading. Okay, it's loaded. If I scroll down, below product, I need to add this field, so I will just drag and drop and put it below product. Okay, there we go. And now we can save this. And then once it is saved, then we will also publish it. Do not forget to publish it. One more important point. I've mentioned this previously also in other videos, but I'm mentioning it again because it is important and we need to do that. So, okay, the publish is available. I'm publishing it now, which means that I've added the field, I've added the claim, I've added the subject, so it's okay. And now the idea is to test what we did. So for this, we need to create a new case record, and it should be of type claim, and it should have a possibility to specify a claim amount, right? So I will enter that as well while creating case. Normally, as I mentioned also in my previous video, the task for test is picked up by not the one who built it, so in this case not me, but because I'm just going to pretend I'm not me and go ahead with this task. But in the real world, this would be picked up by one of your colleagues. So I put it here and active because I'm going to test it now. My publish is also completed. So it means I need to do a refresh. So for me to see the changes that I made, and I'm doing a control F5 to ensure that it's a sort of hard refresh. Okay, I think it's loaded. I'm going to go ahead and create a new case. And when I create a new case, what I would expect is I can specify the subject as claim. So I will say claim subject testing case. But if I were to make it more functional to the requirement, or how this would look like in the real life, claim for broken knob of radiator. You would have a title, something like that. And here, because it's a claim, I will select claim. Customer, I can select the standard one. And here I also have the claim amount. So what amount should it be claimed for? Then I say, let's say it's 80 euros. Then I can save it. And that is basically everything that we wanted to do for this requirement. And if we were to pick up a second requirement, oh, I ended up closing it. But let's Azure Now we can switch to our sprint, and then here we can mark the test task also as closed, which means all my tasks for this PBI is completed. So I will just mark it to closed, refresh it, and that's done. Okay, that's it. Then we can also pick up new PBIs as well. Let's say for one more example, here it says that as a quality or legal or general agent, I can approve quality. Actually, it should be investigation records, because if you remember from our previous videos, we also created investigation table, which is connected to a case, and whenever a case is created, an investigation record is generated. And this it requires that as an agent, I should be able to also have an option to approve an investigation record. For that, I'm going to make my powerops.com, and I have claimed this. I mark it to active. I say create a new approval field. I'll say, okay, I'm on it. I go here, I go to solutions, and then I go to the solution that I'm working on. And now I have to work with the case investigation table, because the field approve needs to be created on the case investigation. And then I go on columns, and then here I can create a new column, and it's an approval field. So let's say approval. And here because an approval field where we should have an option of approve, reject. So that's why the choice here would be a choice. And here I say, no, I want to have a choice that I want to specify: approved, rejected. Okay, and that's it. And I can say save. But just like the other requirement as well, when you create a field, it is quite logical to also add the field on the form. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. Unless the field is meant not to be visible on the form, then you don't add it to the form. Otherwise, it's always a good idea to add the field also on the form. Therefore, I'll go on the forms, open the main form. Always look for the main form. I'm reiterating it because these are some important things that if you keep in mind, then you will save a lot of time when you're building things. And then here I can also add the approval field. Oh. Let's refresh it. Okay. I will add the approval field below, let's say, detailed analysis, because approval is provided at the very end. And just like always, I will do a save, and then I will do a publish, and then we are good to go. And publish. Okay. So whenever we create a case, we always see that an investigation record is created, right? And in this case, what we're going to do is when our publish is over, this new field that we have added, but also to the form, will appear here when we open this record, because we have created this on the investigation record, so it will appear for all the investigation records. It will look like this. So if someone wants to approve it something, they can just mark it as approved. If someone wants to reject it, they will just mark it as rejected. Right? Okay. So that's the end of our second requirement as well. So let's say I will say I've created it, and if I want to test it, I put it to active, and I say I should be able to approve a requirement, so I can just mark it as approved and save it, and then that is indeed possible as an agent now to approve something. There are also security related things when you work with these kind of requirements, especially about approve, but because they're a bit advanced in the sense that you need to know more about security roles, field level security, and concepts on how you can basically conditionally lock and unlock a field. I'm going to skip that for now, and we're going to keep the requirement very basic that, yeah, anyone can approve it. And then we mark it this also to close, and then the requirement also to close. Okay, and then this is also done. And then we have this third requirement. This third requirement, we're going to keep it for a different session because it requires us to create a Power Automate flow with a special action list flows that I wanted to talk more in detail about, which would be too much for this video. But once you have that video covered, then I can confidently say if you've practiced enough so far, you've created tables and you've created Power Automate flows to try out things, then you're good to go. And then you will start to dive into those topics which are a bit more advanced and requires more attention. But I hope this video was helpful, and if you have any questions or any suggestions, please put them in the comments and I will get back to you. In the meantime, happy learning.